The mystical world of Japan's Tengu and supernatural tales. Picture this. You're hiking through an ancient Japanese forest as dusk approaches. The trees grow denser, shadows lengthen, and suddenly you hear an otherworldly sound echoing through the mountains. According to local villagers, you may have just encountered one of Japan's most enigmatic creatures, the Tengu. In the depths of Japan's mystical forests and ancient temples lies a hidden world of supernatural beings and extraordinary tales that have captivated generations. These aren't your typical ghost stories or fairy tales. They're deeply woven into the fabric of Japanese culture, shaping beliefs and traditions that persist to this day. The Tengu, masters of the mountain realm, are perhaps Japan's most sophisticated supernatural beings. Imagine a creature combining the wisdom of a Buddhist monk with the fierce pride of a warrior and the mysterious nature of a bird of prey. With their distinctive red faces, long noses, and magnificent black wings, Tengu are said to be powerful martial arts masters who test the worthy and punish the arrogant. Ancient scrolls tell of ambitious samurai seeking out Tengu to learn their legendary fighting techniques. One famous tale speaks of Minamoto no Yoshitsune, one of Japan's greatest swordsmen, who as a young boy was trained by the king of the Tengu himself. This supernatural training transformed him into an unbeatable warrior who would help shape Japanese history. Even today, many traditional martial arts dojos in Japan honor the Tengu as patron spirits of their art. But not all legendary creatures in Japan are as noble as the Tengu. Enter the Kitsune, the mysterious fox spirits that have fascinated and terrified Japanese people for centuries. These aren't your ordinary foxes. They're intelligent shapeshifters who grow additional tails as they age, with the most powerful nine-tailed foxes possessing abilities that rival the gods themselves. The most famous nine-tailed fox story tells of Tamamo no Mei, a beautiful courtier in the imperial palace during the Heian period. She was said to be the most intelligent, beautiful, and talented woman in Japan. But this perfect lady harbored a dark secret. She was actually a 1,000-year-old fox spirit who had previously seduced kings in both India and China, bringing their kingdoms to ruin. When her true nature was discovered, the greatest warriors of Japan hunted her down, but even in death, her spirit was said to have transformed into a killing stone that emanated poison for centuries. Speaking of transformative journeys, few Japanese legends capture the bittersweet nature of time like the tale of Urashima Taro. Imagine being a simple fisherman who saves a small turtle, only to discover it's the daughter of the dragon god of the sea. As a reward, you're invited to visit the magical underwater palace of Ryugu-jo, where time flows differently than in our world. In this shimmering underwater castle, Urashima Taro experiences unimaginable luxury and falls in love with the dragon princess. But after what feels like just a few days, homesickness sets in, and he decides to return to his village. The princess reluctantly lets him go, giving him a mysterious box with strict instructions never to open it. But when Urashima returns to his village, he finds that 300 years have passed. Everyone he knew, his family, friends, and loved ones, are long gone. In his despair, he opens the forbidden box only to discover it contained his age, instantly transforming him into an elderly man who crumbles to dust. This haunting story of time, love, and loss continues to resonate with audiences today, perhaps because it touches on universal fears about the passing of time and the price of extraordinary experiences. It's also one of the earliest examples of time travel in literature, predating H.G. Wells's The Time Machine by over 1,000 years. But not all Japanese legends deal with grand transformations and epic journeys. Some of the most chilling tales center around the Yuki Onna, the snow woman, whose stories are whispered in Japan's northern regions during long winter nights. Described as inhumanly beautiful, with pale skin that seems to glow in the moonlight and long black hair dusted with snowflakes, she appears to travelers caught in snowstorms. In the most famous version of her story, she spares a young woodcutter, making him promise never to speak of their encounter. Years later, he tells the story to his wife, only to discover that she is the very same Yuki Onna, who had fallen in love with him and chosen to live as a human. His broken promise forces her to reveal her true form and leave forever, taking their children with her. This tale speaks to the Japanese concept of mono no aware, the bitter sweetness of life and the transient nature of all things. While many Japanese spirits instill fear or awe, there's one whose presence is actually welcomed into homes, the mysterious Zashiki Warashi, or seat cushion child. Imagine a spirit that appears as a 5- or 6-year-old child with rosy cheeks and wearing traditional red and white clothing, playing hide-and-seek in the dusty corners of ancient Japanese houses. These child spirits are said to bring good fortune to the homes they choose to inhabit, but they're incredibly fickle. If they feel unwelcome or neglected, they'll leave, taking the family's luck with them. One famous account from northern Japan tells of a wealthy merchant family who lived in a sprawling traditional mansion. The house was known to be inhabited by several Zashiki Warashi, and the family's fortune grew year after year. But when the new heir decided to modernize the house, destroying the ancient rooms where the spirits played, the Zashiki Warashi departed en masse. Within months, the family's businesses failed, their crops withered, and their once great house fell into ruin. Today, many traditional inns and old houses in Japan still maintain special rooms with traditional seat cushions and toys, hoping to attract these luck-bringing child spirits. But not all urban legends in Japan are so innocent. In the 1970s, a terrifying story began circulating among school children, the tale of the Kuchisake Onna, the slit-mouthed woman. Picture walking home alone on a quiet evening when you encounter a woman wearing a surgical mask, a common sight in Japan. She asks, "Am I pretty?" If you answer no, she kills you on the spot. If you answer yes, she removes her mask to reveal a mouth slit from ear to ear and asks, "How about now?" There's no safe answer to this second question. Say no, and she cuts you in half. Say yes, and she cuts your mouth to match hers. The legend of the Kuchisake Onna became so widespread that it caused genuine panic in Japan, with schools sending children home in groups and police increasing their patrols. What makes this urban legend particularly fascinating is how it taps into both ancient Japanese ghost stories and modern social anxieties about beauty standards and conformity. Some scholars link the story to much older tales of disfigured samurai wives, while others see it as a commentary on Japan's obsession with physical appearance in the modern era. But perhaps no Japanese legend is more epic in scale than the tale of Yamata no Orochi, the 8-headed serpent that terrorized the land of Izumo. Each of its 8 heads was said to be the size of a hill, and its body stretched across 8 valleys and 8 peaks, covered in moss and trees growing on its ancient scales. Every year, this massive creature would demand a young maiden as sacrifice, and for 7 years, it had devoured the daughters of one heartbroken family. Enter Susanoo, the impetuous storm god, who had been banished from heaven for his unruly behavior. Upon hearing of the family's plight, he devised an ingenious plan. He instructed them to brew 8 vats of powerful sake, one for each head of the serpent. When Orochi came for the last daughter, it found 8 vats of enticing sake instead. Each head drank deeply, and as the monster fell into a drunken stupor, Susanoo struck, cutting all 8 heads from the serpent's massive body. But the story doesn't end there. As Susanoo cut through the creature's tail, his sword struck something hard, the legendary sword Kusanagi no Tsurugi, one of the 3 imperial regalia of Japan. This sacred sword, symbolizing the virtue of valor, would later become a crucial part of Japanese imperial succession ceremonies, though its current location remains one of Japan's most closely guarded secrets. The tale of Yamata no Orochi is particularly significant because it represents a perfect blend of mythology and political symbolism. The sword found in the serpent's tail became a symbol of imperial power, linking Japan's ancient monster-slaying myths directly to its political structure. For American viewers, imagine if Excalibur had been found inside a dragon slain by Zeus. That's the level of mythological and political significance we're talking about. Of all Japan's legendary creatures, few are as paradoxical as the kappa. These river-dwelling beings are simultaneously portrayed as dangerous tricksters and beloved local guardians. Picture a child-sized creature with scaly amphibian skin, a turtle-like shell, and a strange water-filled depression on top of its head. While they might sound amusing, kappa were feared as dangerous predators who would drag unsuspecting victims into their underwater lairs. However, what makes kappa truly fascinating is how they've evolved from fearsome monsters into cultural icons. According to ancient scrolls, if you encountered a kappa, you could save yourself by bowing deeply. The polite kappa would bow back, spilling the water from its head and weakening it. This legend led to the development of uniquely Japanese values, the importance of courtesy even in the face of danger, and the idea that knowledge and quick thinking could overcome raw strength. In fact, some historians believe the kappa legends were deliberately used to teach children water safety in a country prone to flooding and strong river currents. Today, you can find kappa statues throughout Japan, particularly in Tokyo's Kappabashi district, where they're seen as guardians of local businesses. They've even inspired modern cuisine. Kappamaki, cucumber sushi rolls, are named after these creatures' supposed favorite food. Perhaps even more intriguing are Japan's unique interpretations of merfolk legends. Unlike the romantic Western image of beautiful mermaids seeking human love, Japanese ningyo, human fish, were grotesque creatures with monkey-like faces whose flesh was said to grant incredible longevity to anyone who ate it. One of the most famous tales comes from Yao County, where a fisherman caught a ningyo and, against all warnings, sold it at market. Everyone who ate its flesh lived for centuries, but they remained trapped in aging bodies, watching generations of their loved ones pass away while they lingered on, unable to die. This distinctly Japanese take on immortality reflects a cultural wisdom about the double-edged nature of eternal life. While Western tales often portray immortality as desirable, Japanese legends frequently warn of its hidden costs. This perspective is deeply rooted in Buddhist teachings about the impermanence of all things and the importance of accepting life's natural cycle. But perhaps no Japanese legend captures the essence of the supernatural world quite like the Hyakki Yagyo, the night parade of 100 demons. Imagine this scene. It's a dark summer night in ancient Kyoto. The air is thick with humidity and anticipation. Suddenly, lanterns flicker and go out across the city as an otherworldly procession begins. Hundreds of yokai, demons, spirits, and supernatural creatures of every description march through the streets in a spectacular parade of the bizarre and terrifying. The Hyakki Yagyo wasn't just a random assemblage of monsters. It was believed to be an annual gathering where all manner of supernatural beings would take to the streets, led by the most powerful yokai. Any human unfortunate enough to witness this parade would die on the spot unless protected by powerful Buddhist sutras. This legend became so influential that it inspired countless artistic works, including some of Japan's most famous scroll paintings, which attempt to catalog the dizzying variety of creatures in the parade. What's particularly fascinating about the night parade is how it reflects Japan's complex relationship with the supernatural. Unlike Western traditions, which often draw clear lines between good and evil spirits, Japanese folklore presents a more nuanced view. The creatures in the night parade aren't necessarily evil, they're simply following their nature, operating under their own rules and hierarchy, parallel to but separate from the human world. This idea of coexistence with the supernatural, rather than conquest over it, remains a distinctive feature of Japanese culture. Even in modern high-tech Japan, you'll find businessmen tossing coins at shrine gates, construction companies consulting feng shui experts before breaking ground, and technology corporations avoiding the number 4, shy, associated with death, in their product lines. These 10 legends we've explored are more than just entertaining stories. They're windows into Japan's soul, revealing how this fascinating culture has wrestled with universal human concerns about life, death, time, and the unknown. From the warrior monk Tengu to the nightmarish Kuchisake Onna, from ancient gods to urban legends, these tales continue to captivate and influence people around the world. Thank you for joining us on this journey through Japan's mysterious legendary world. If you enjoyed these stories and want to learn more about Japanese history and culture, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. Stay tuned for our next video, where we'll explore another fascinating aspect of Japan's rich cultural heritage.